I'm Owen Bigland. This is the Inside Edge video blog. Okay, I've seen a few people on my YouTube channel here, as well as I've seen some chat boards saying that, Vancouver rental rates are coming down. Saw a couple of headlines, they were fake, that, rental rates in Vancouver are plummeting. Well, listen, if you guys know, I think I'm pretty dialed into this. I've got, probably several hundred investor clients over the years, a lot of them in downtown Vancouver, Mount Pleasant, Kitsilano, Richmond. I've got a pretty good sized portfolio. So I'm on top of this, and I'm always talking with my investor clients all the time. I tell them a lot of times, just touch base with me. Whenever you have to place a new tenant, if you could, just drop me a quick text message or an email. Let me know how it went. How long did it take you to get a tenant? What was your rent, current rent to what was your new rent, that kind of thing. And then I keep a database here. I just like to know what's going on. So, for me, I can tell you as an existing landlord, I can speak for all of my landlord clients, the rents never go down, guys. So I wouldn't know. I've been a landlord for coming up to 32 years. Whenever I've had to place a new tenant, the rent goes up because, you place a tenant, you sign a 1-year lease. That tenant might stay just the year, but usually they're going to stay 2 or 3 or 4. So during that time that they've been there, the rents keep going up. They're going up to inflation at the very least. So every time I've had to place a new tenant, whether that's been 1 year or 2 years or 3 years after they've moved in, I'm raising the rents. But, perhaps, some of these people are talking about apartment buildings. So those, have got a lot more turnover in an apartment building. Some of these older apartments like in the West End, downtown Vancouver here, they're pretty tired units, that they're renting for one beds for $2,200-$2,300 a month. They're 55, 60 years old, no parking a lot of the times. Perhaps maybe those rents have gone down slightly, 2, 3, 4% over the last 6 months. I don't know. It's a different market and I don't really follow that. But, things right now are shaping up to be a pretty good window right now if you're an investor. If you're looking to become a first-time investor, buy a simple 1-bedroom condo downtown, put a tenant into it, and then follow my golden rules. Just keep the damn thing. Hang on to it for 8 to 10 years minimum, hopefully 15 or 20 until it's paid off. Then have a look at it. Tenant is paid, done all the heavy lifting for you. You paid $550 for it, and now it's worth $1 million. You're going to sell it, pay the capital gains tax, and then ride off into the sunset with it. You're diversifying. You're not putting all your eggs in the stock market, and you're taking advantage of leverage. Rental rates, have gone up. I wouldn't expect rental rates to continue the way they have the last 4 years. I've done so many blogs on this. Give you guys an example here, a real life example from a strata that I have over on Homer Street. It's a 12-year-old strata, concrete high-rise, good builder. I think I probably have at least 6, 7 investor clients that I've gotten in there over the last 7 or 8 years, let's say. So I'll give you an example. Back in 2019, you could buy a 1-bed, 1-bath with parking, let's call it on the 15th floor, for around $700,000. That unit would rent for around $2,100 to $2,200 a month. This is in 2019. Today, you can buy pretty much that same unit, 575 square feet, for around $700K. So back in 2019, back in 2020, 21, 2022, that unit went up to about $735, $740. Now it's kind of leveled back off again here as interest rates went up. You're buying it for maybe now $710, $715, so for about the same price. The only difference is, rather than renting it for $2,100 or $2,200, you're now getting $3,000 a month rent on that. And the interest rates have kind of done a round trip. They were around 4.5%, 4% back in 2019. They spiked up to 6.5%, 6.8%. Now they've come back down to 4%. So pretty favorable market now. Interest rates are about the same. The purchase price is about the same, but your rent has gone up about a cool $1,000 more every month. And I think those rents over time, they're not going to go up the same pace they have, but they're definitely not going to come down any substantial amount. Maybe they tread water here for another year, but eventually they're going to continue to slowly go up with inflation and then some. The other thing is, I think interest rates, we still might get a couple more cuts later this year. The final kicker is right now is vacancy is near zero. Not going to get much better. You're going to be competing against some rental-only buildings coming up over the next 5 years, but I've done blogs on rental-only buildings. If you're a tenant out there, I think the experienced tenants know, do I want to rent in a rental-only building, which is an animal house, or do I want to rent in a high-quality strata that's 70% owner-occupied? They're going to want to go into the strata, especially if the rents are about the same per unit. So again, rental rates have stayed pretty strong here. I'm not noticing any major drop-offs, but of course there's a lot of fake news out there, guys, and I think most people realize that. But pretty good time to be a landlord right now. You can buy these units, put a tenant in there, high quality tenants like there's always been in downtown Vancouver. These guys have got, beacon scores of 800, 850 all day. A lot of them are in the tech sector, pretty worry-free. Take advantage of the leverage. Borrowing costs are coming down. You'll have 6 or 7 high quality applicants in the first couple hours you place that ad, if it's a good quality unit like the ones I sell to my investors. So overall, it's shaping up to be pretty good time to become an investor. Well, the final thing I'll say is vacancy is near zero, and a lot of that is over the last couple of years as interest rates went up and the war that the NDP has had on landlords. Some, not all, but there have been some mom and pop landlords that have slowly exited the business, and I've done blogs on it. Most of those units that they sold that were tenant occupied were bought by end users, and then there's another investment unit that was off the market, thus shrinking the supply for us landlords that are still in the business and allowing those rents to keep going up. So you see, that's what I've been pointing out for a long time. NDP talks always a big talk about the war on landlords and everything else. They never talk about the fallout of shrinking supply, more and more people moving into the downtown core. Sure, we'll build you some rental-only housing, but it's inferior to strata. I'm Owen Bigland. As always, thanks for watching. Thanks to all my new subscribers. See you next week.